Alright, so we're right where we left off from the last video, the Smart Toggle tool. And in this video I want to talk about just creating a simple title in AVID's title tool. A very quick little way to create a title when you need it. And it's very easy. So here we are, the timeline. We still have my rough cut from last video. And I have my clip marked and I want to get rid of those markers. So I'm going to hit the letter G on the keyboard to get rid of the markers. And then I'm going to, we're going to have to bear with me here. When you look at these videos, you really want a title, say, maybe when someone's being introduced in an interview. So I'm going to go to the end. If you have end on your keyboard, go ahead and hit that. I'm going to use function right arrow, so I'm on my laptop. And I'm going to look for something that would be similar. So this zoom in Calvin sort of has this guy, and I could picture, hey, this is Calvin, and we could show his name, Calvin, and talk about, he's obviously a chicken farmer, all right? So I've marked my clip, and I'm going to hit the letter V on the keyboard to bring it into the sequence. And now from here, I'm going to Command S to save the file, and I'm going to go up to the Tools button, the Tools menu on the top, and go all the way down to Title Tool Application. I'm going to click that, and it's going to bring up this little window, and you're going to be asked, do you want to take it to Marquee, or do you want to go to the Title Tool? What I want to do is go ahead and click on the Title Tool, and now it brings you the AVID title tool. And this is a very basic way to create a quick title. Hopefully this looks very familiar to many of you if you've used any word processing programs. At the very bottom you have a couple different things, selection tool, a text tool. You can move, place it, add some squares or shapes, and you have your font, your typeface, the size, some justification, some kerning, some leading, so on and so forth. Okay, so let's get started. When we look at this, right now, it's just a visual indicator of where we are. Where that position indicator, that blue line is just telling us where that's at. So I'm going to grab on my typeface tool, and I'm going to type Calvin, just guessing on his name there, and I'm going to use the selection tool now as I'm done typing. And when you use that selection tool, you'll notice that you have these little squares around your type. This allows you to move this type. Okay, and right now what we're looking at, the innermost box is our title safe. Okay, so we want any titles that we create to be inside the innermost box. Right now, as we have it, see how Smith is outside? That outermost box is video safe. So anything that's action related that you need people to see needs to be within the outermost box. So right now, because Smith is hanging outside of that innermost box, it's going to get cut off. So we don't want that because we want everyone to know his last name. So we want to click and drag up, bring him inside that innermost box, and then I want it on one line instead of two. So I'm going to click on one of these squares and then drag it out, and maybe a little bit more. And now Calvin Smith is on one line, and I'm going to position it where I would like it. Now I'm going to maybe change the size, maybe 36. Perfect. And now over here on the right, you can change the fill. You click on that, it brings the title to a color picker, and you can click and drag and pick a color. All right. You can also use your eyedropper and pick a color inside the video if you wanted to. All right. So let's say we're happy with that. You can also change the opacity if you wanted something completely transparent or completely opaque. You can add shadows or gradients or borders. Just be cautious. Remember that a lot of times something that's a little simpler is better. It's easier to read and easier for your viewer. So don't get too crazy with gradients and strokes and shadows. More often than not, it's better to keep it simple. All right. So when you're happy with it, when you're done creating what you wanted to, you could even do, let's grab a square, a rectangle, and let's draw one. Now you go, oh no, it's on top of the title of his name. That's not what I want at all. But that's okay. What we want to do is maybe make this opaque, just slightly, maybe a little bit more. So you click and hold and then drag this little slider, maybe a little more. Oh, I let go of it. It can be a little tricky. Let's say maybe a little less. All right, let's say I like it just like the way that it is. Maybe I want to change the color of that box as well. Okay. But right now, if you remember, it's on top of his name. So we're going to click on that box, Hopefully it's selected. And then go to Object, Send to Back. And now the name comes forward, and now we can see a little better. And actually what I want to do is maybe bring it a little less. Okay, that looks good to me. Maybe you could even change the opacity, and I want to change that so that it's the other way. Completely opaque, and then brings it down to almost nothing. Maybe a little bit more. Oops, wrong one. So you have to fool with it a little bit. It can get a little funky. There we go. Something like that. It's a little crazy, but you get the idea, and you can play with that if you want. If you're happy with it, and when you are happy with it, you can do File, Save Title, name the title, right? Obviously, you want to name it the person's name, and then save it in your bin. Go ahead and hit Save. And then when you do this title tool, AVID thinks you want to continue making titles, which might be the case, or you might be done. If you're done, go ahead and close out that window, and you think, oh no, where's my title? Well, it's in your bin. Remember, it lived in your bin. So we just drag this up. If you notice now, if I zoom in, we have a new item in our bin. We have that little asterisk telling us we haven't saved it yet. And now the icon is a little T for title tool, and we've created a title. I'm going to Command S to save the file. Asterisk goes away. Zoom out. And then from here, this defaults to, I think it's 2 seconds. So you might not always want it that entire length. If we wanted to create and bring it down into the timeline, what you would do, you certainly wouldn't want it after he appears, right? You want it to appear at the same time. In that case, you have to think in layers, okay? So it has to be above the video. And since we only have one video track, we have to create a new video track. There's a couple ways to do it. We can right-click in this timeline and say New Video Track. Or you can say Command Y, and it creates a new video track. Now, if you notice, we have V2 available to us. But remember, the left side correlates with whatever is on the source monitor. And because video 1 is connected to video 1, whatever I bring down will be applied to video 1. So you need to patch video 1 to video 2. And you do that by clicking on video 1 and dragging over to video 2. Okay? Now, let's say I wanted to appear, Calvin to appear here. When I splice in now, hit the letter V like Victor, it brings it in, but boy, did it bring it in. It's a big old title, way too long. So I'm going to Command V to bring that back. What did I forget to do? I forgot to add an in and out point, okay? So you say, well, I want it to appear the entire length of this clip, but I don't know how long this is, and I don't want to sit there and do the math. No problem. Put your position indicator right there, hit the letter T on the keyboard. Oops, it did video 1. So I have to bring down to video 1. Now I hit the letter T on the keyboard. It marks just that clip, and up at the top of the composer, right in the middle, it tells us it's 4 seconds and 0.06 frames, okay? So we know if we have a title that appears about 4 seconds, we'll be okay. So I'm going to go back up to video 2, and I'm going to now splice it in, and now it's exactly the same length. Now it's a little crazy, right? I mean, I don't think that I would do this gradient, but you get the idea. Now it appears. And we have a quick little lower third happening, and we're good to go. All right, that's the simplest title tool in AVID. You don't always have to do lower thirds, obviously, but just make sure that you stay within that innermost box when you're doing a title, and you'll be good to go. Thanks.